Welcome back, Nerd Nation. Today's guest is Benton, our rep support manager. I don't know what your exact title is.
Yeah, rep support manager.
Sales ops.
Cancellations
Sales
guy.
ops manager.
Yeah.
Cancellation guy. Yeah, you've got a lot of responsibilities. We'll get into those a little bit later. So welcome, Benton. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So how did you hear about N.E.R.D Power?
Yeah, so I actually heard about N.E.R.D Power. It was around more or less this time of year when I really started digging into it. But once I got off my mission for my church, my brother got a job from that company. He got off too and told me a little bit about it. But, I was doing some other things during that time and thought it was pretty neat. N.E.R.D Power, I always really liked the name of the company and had a nice ring to it. And the culture seemed to always be very entertaining. But I was in Rexburg, Idaho, and I was working for a company called LaBelle Lake Ice Palace, where we build the whole place, just completely out of ice. It's a really fun, unique company. If you guys want to check it out, it's just labellakeicepalace.com. They got some really cool stuff. And I was just, chunking away at ice, just building the palace. And
Are you artistic? Like, is that something that...
I wasn't building like a sculpture. We were more making like pillar molds to be able to build the structure of it. Rudimentary artistic, I guess you could say.
So how do they interview for that? Like, do you have a skill with a knife or?
They just put it on Facebook. Yeah. And I just applied to it. And that was my second year doing it. Super fun. It's cold, super cold, but kind of therapeutic.
Are you working outside? I guess Rexburg's cold.
Yeah. Working outside in the cold, shoveling snow off because they, before it snows, they fill it up with tubes and then, it freezes over and we cut out those molds and then we bring the ice over to where we're building and, set that up and with just, some snow and water make slush basically. And
so that's seasonal then. So you can only work during the winter then?
Yeah. But it's, it's a fun winter thing. And so I was just chipping some ice away, getting the proper measurements for the next part we were building on the ice palace. And I was talking to one of my friends who had done solar, some summer sales and just tell me about, the money he made and other related aspects to that kind of company. And I just thought, you know what, I need to do that. I got to take care of my family and, I got a baby coming. And so I want to make some money and want to learn a bit more about this. And Arizona was, where family's at. And so I know that Harrison worked at a solar company in Arizona. So I hit him up and
Harrison's your brother.
Harrison's my brother.
Yep.
And he works in monitoring. And so I just said, hey, you think I can get a job there? And he said, totally. I'll get right back up to you. And so I think he contacted you like that day. And here we are.
Yeah. So that was about a year ago. And our first interview was over the phone.
Yeah. Yep.
And just so everyone knows, like you were actually hiring on as, well, you hired on as an advisor.
Correct.
Yeah. So Harrison he's always been in the support, and he kind of worked his way over to the monitoring, which he does really good. And he's built up some awesome processes there. But you started in sales. Like you said, you had a buddy who had done it and you wanted to make some good money. And so you were hired on as an advisor.
Yep, that's right.
So you moved your whole family down to Arizona.
Yeah,
well,
that was,
you and your wife.
That was quite the trip. Yeah.
Cool. And then walk us through that, because I know that Brian kind of handpicked you to kind of help out in rep support.
Yeah. So I'd been working as an advisor for a few months and was talking to Vanessa one day and she, gave some of that feedback and also talked to Brian a bit about that. And he reached out to me and offered me a position inside. And I thought, all right, let's give this a shot. I was a little nervous. It's new. I have about 10 years of customer service experience. So, I'm not new to that front, but the whole internal processes thing, I never really done that thing before, but I was really excited. And it was a unique opportunity to kind of see what the sales process was like rather than being just the advisor going out and doing the closings.
And I'm sure your perspective has changed a lot since you do have that type of experience. I mean, you started in sales, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that Brian was most interested in is the fact that our sales ops or rep support, right, is a vital part of the sales success. And so he has always been a proponent of, whatever the salesmen need. And so having someone that has that experience and understands their needs and, what they need to be successful, I think that's kind of what led him to, handpicking you for that department. So how has your perspective of being in sales helped you in this new role?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things for me from being in sales is it's definitely a very everyday mental game. You know, getting up and thinking, all right, today I got to go do my best, and based off my performance is how my family or myself succeeds, you know, and the company grows from that.
Right.
And so it is challenging, and I don't really mean that in the negative perspective, but it's challenging in where each day you can improve upon and be better. And really, when you look at it that way, from my past experiences, those kind of challenges, you know, as you approach it and do the best you can, you only really go up, because even if you do in theoretically dip down a bit from some failures, whatever those may be, they're just learning experiences to make sure that you improve upon that process and get it better each time.
But it does help you see that, I mean, it takes a special person to be a salesman, a commission-only salesman, right?
Yes, they're very strong-minded individuals for sure.
Yeah, and there's what people don't understand is it's stressful. You know, people think, oh, the salesman, they make all this money and stuff, but they it's stressful.
Yeah.
You know, not having that, knowing what you're going to get paid and stuff like that. That exact. It's just different, right? It's stressful for some of these sales reps that are just getting into it. So, So how has your perspective changed since you've?
Yes. So I remember when I made my first sale, I think I forgot the bill, if I remember right, and maybe advisors may be laughing about that.
Listen up, advisors. He forgot the bill.
And, you know, it was such a learning experience as my first sale, because there are so many things that you have to remember. I mean, you have to get financing correct. The contract has to be exact to the proposal and then to the finance, and just all these other little details in between it. And like, I get it. It's overwhelming, so much that you have to do. And then to be held back from being finance approved, as we say, because you don't have a bill, it's just like, really?
Which is your paycheck, right? So that's what you're saying.
Paycheck,
you're like, hey, I'm not going to get paid because of a bill.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I've definitely come to understand that frustration. But I think how my perspective has changed on that too is understanding what the permitting process looks like and the project phase, and how if we're able to get all these things done in that first step, it makes it so much better of an experience for the customer in the long run, because that's when they really start seeing that progress, and it's harder to see some of those like checks get marked off. But once they're able to see that, they feel more comfortable moving forward in that process. So I've been able to see more how just even the small things, if I'm able to get them done that first time, it makes a huge difference. And not only did I, miss the bill for that one, but I had to do like 3 separate amendments because the name was spelled wrong for whatever reason in the system when it auto-populated. And so, yeah, that was nervous because I felt that I was going to lose the sale because of that.
And you could, right?
I could, yeah. But I'm really grateful to rep support at that time and Maddie reaching out, checking back with me. When I forgot for a few days, she reached out again, made sure that I was able to get on top of that and get that done. And because of that, I was able to get that sale going forward, and everything went perfectly. They were installed on time. Paul did a great job staying in contact with the customer. So from my, first sale perspective, it was really awesome to see how smooth that process really went.
Awesome. And I know that because of that experience that you've had, you've actually, implemented some changes, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I've really appreciated is you offer, new reps or existing reps that maybe have a harder time with technology or something that you guys will now be available for them while they're in the home to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed and walk them through that process so they don't have to go back. So it doesn't turn into a, 3-day, 1 week, 2 week, finance approval, because you know what it's like to not get paid. And so you want to help our reps get paid as quick as possible. So
I do, yeah.
So what are some of the other changes that you've made since you've been in there? Because you've made quite a few.
Yeah, I think one of the main things I've really honed down on is just the contract approval of what's needed for the contract approval, and being able to be flexible, but also really outline. So reps have a specific and tangible idea of what needs to be completed. Like you said, the I's dotted and the T's crossed. And one of those has been just even like the inverters, making sure that the numbers are populating in the contracts as they need to be, or with the CPS changes, making sure that.
Which is a utility for those of you who don't know. CPS is our San Antonio utility company. So
correct, and making sure that we set up a template with our development team that it auto-populates for them, so we're able to get the correct rebates set up. But apart from that, I would say just the overall contract approval process. We've been able to bring it down from it being approved in 3 days, maybe more, to as little as, like you mentioned, within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When that rep calls, we're able to get that done ASAP.
So one of the biggest impact you had on me personally was, so we have those reports, right? Contract approval and finance approval.
Right.
And I think there was 40.
There was 40, yeah.
When you came in, and what is that at today?
I think right now it's at, 15, but we were able to get that list basically blank at one point in time.
Yeah. So a huge help. And again, you have to look at it from different eyeballs now, right? You're looking, like you said, at the ops, at the project, at the customer, and at the sales rep. So you have to make everyone happy. And so you have a tough job.
Yeah. But I have good people to work with. So
yeah. Cool. So what are some of the other changes you're looking to do? I know that you have some ideas and goals to implement and to really help, speed up the process, but tell us a little bit about some of your ideas.
Yeah. So as a rep support sales operations manager, I really want to embody that image of being the support for the reps and making sure that every need they have is met to, whether it be training or even just assisting them through the sales process when they're making a sale. Any point of help they need, they can reach out. We'll be able to assist them in that. Even if it's just coming in and working on their pitch, that we can be there to help listen and provide feedback on that, or just help in the role play. But one of the big things that I really want to implement is to be able to provide rep support weekly updates, where we're able to go over every single of their accounts, and whether through email or other thread, we can go over all their accounts and be able to talk about where they're at, what's going on, and any actions needed. And that way, throughout the whole process, whether it be contract finance or project timelines, we're able to make sure that the customer, but also the rep, is aware of where we're at, and to keep it a streamlined process.
Awesome. So I think I know the answer to this one, but if you could encourage the sales advisors to do one thing, what would it be?
One thing. I think the biggest thing really would be to call us.
Yeah. Communicate.
Yeah. At the
respond to calls and
at the end of the sale and emails, but we want to hear from you, and when you guys are making that sale, reach out to us, reach out at the end. I promise you that the amount that you'll get paid will triple. We'll be able to catch those errors sooner. We'll be able to make sure the process is better, because I get it. Sometimes the process just needs to be worked out better, so that when contracts are being filled out, we can make it easier for you guys to make sure that you get paid.
Yeah. Awesome. And again, you're in a tough spot, because first off, advisors, like we already talked about, we're unique. A salesperson is unique. Like, we have egos, we're prima donnas, and we love it. And we want to be babied. And for you to call us and say, hey, we made a mistake, it's a little hard, to swallow sometimes, but it's like you said, it's just going to benefit us to get our stuff done so we can get paid quicker. So
yeah.
Awesome. Another big change we're doing is dispositions. And this is a beast that we're just now touching and working through, but it should be huge. So tell us a little bit about concerns that you have for dispositions and kind of how your goal is to work through those.
Yeah, definitely. So with dispositions, when I was an advisor, I remember my manager at that time, Sigel, always saying, hey, make sure that you honor the lead. And I remember her instilling that into me, just, honor the lead. That's really what the company's about, making sure we do the best to honor the customer, but also the rep or advisor that initially created that lead for us. And after every single appointment, to make sure that we dispo it, which means to basically just say what happened, that we really get into detail on what happened. We don't have to write like a paragraph about what it is, but really making sure that we're being accurate on the state of the account. And that helps us to be able to better follow up. Or when managers, or in this case, rep support, as we're now helping out with dispositions, we're able to provide feedback or coaching to make sure that we can get those accounts moving forward, because we know sometimes customers can also be tricky, that we don't always understand what they're thinking, but advisors are really good at being able to put themselves in the mind of the customer and being able to figure that out. And so the more we work together to figure where the customer may be at, we start being able to see and develop processes to overcome their objections.
And one of the biggest reasons why we're doing the dispositions, though, is because we implemented some changes on our assessor side to where now that disposition predicates a paycheck or not for an assessor, right? And so time is of the essence, right? Like just like an advisor wants to get paid as quick as possible and to kind of know what they can expect, it's the same thing for assessors. And so it's important that because that's one of our biggest weaknesses right now, I'd say, is our dispositions. It takes us days sometimes to disposition, which gets, assessors frustrated and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's a big one to tackle, but I'm excited that you and your team are there to do it. So awesome. Just so everyone knows, some of the other tasks and responsibilities. So kind of fill us in on what other responsibilities you have.
Yeah. So even with helping with contracts, I help with designs, making sure that the proposals are created and as accurate as possible for you guys. So any feedback that one ever has on the proposal, please let me know. Our job is to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. So if you notice something with the bills, if they're not reflecting properly with the price rates or rebates, for example, I know one of the things recently was the battery wasn't reflecting the correct rates. Things like that we want to fix to make sure that your guys' in-home pitches are spot on so that the customer is able to build that trust with us. One of the other things I deal with is cancellations. Yeah,
so before we pass on, so Brian actually turned over, that was something that Brian used to handle specifically. And so
correct.
You actually, the proposal is your baby. So when changes need to be made, when, numbers are off or need to be changed or like that's your responsibility now. So with utilities, with products, with all of it, right?
Yeah.
Because you have people that you'll reach out to that will help you, but that's your responsibility. Awesome. Okay, and cancels, that's the next one. Yep.
Correct. And so I guess you could say that's one of the things that Brian had passed on to me was the proposal, and cancels is one of the things that was bestowed to me by you.
Yes.
And so that's been great though, because it's allowed me to develop more relationship with the reps and pod as well, to make sure that we're all working together to see that the accounts are being taken care of, and that going back to, honoring the lead, the very beginning of that account, that we're doing the best we can to support the customer, but also keeping in mind the interest of the company, depending if they signed a contract or not.
Cool. So obviously you've seen what we've been doing on the recruiting front, opening up offices. We have a new office coming in Phoenix. We have Ohio, a new office coming in San Antonio. So, and more to come in California. So we're growing a lot. And I know your team's looking forward to it because you want to expand and help. And that's what's nice is you've kind of set it up to where it's going to be easy to plug and play for you when you need help and grow, because you've kind of defined processes really well and honed in and fixed a lot of those mistakes that we had. So great job. So really quick, just tell us a little bit about yourself. So tell me, outside of work, what do you like to do?
Yeah, I used to be a really big swimmer growing up. I haven't had as much time lately to do that, but I've been getting back into it a bit. So that's been awesome. Swimming for me is, I've always been able to jump in the water, and I don't know.
You're a fish, huh?
Yeah, I'm a fish. I just don't really think about much anything else. So that's a great de-stressor for me.
Awesome.
Other than that, just, spending time with my wife and kid and watching them grow up. It's a unique thing, being a dad, and helps me literally be a better person, being patient with more everyone basically.
And how old is your baby?
He's only 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, a little tyke.
Yeah.
And apart from that, I love anything that has to do with strategy. I guess that plays into work a little bit, you know, processes and that. My family calls me the rule stickler. You know, whenever we play a game, it's like, it's by the rules. It's got to be by the rules. And if it's not by the rules, it has to be said at the beginning of the game. So that's part of the rule.
So if you're playing Uno with your grandma, are you going to cheat or no?
No, I'm not that kind of guy, but my grandma would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine too. That's funny. Cool. So, swimming. So where are you from originally? You're from Arizona then, right?
So I actually grew up in California, Sacramento area, in a little town called Woodland. Yeah. And so I lived there, my family, till I was around 16. And then that's when we moved to Gilbert area.
Okay.
So by this point, you know, we're pretty much Arizonians. You could almost say by blood, but most of my upbringing was in California. So it's kind of unique to get both sides of the coin. I mean, you go to California and their weather is just weird. You know, one day it's cloudy, next day it's windy, next day it's cloudy, windy, and rainy, and it just doesn't make it up its mind. And then you come here to Arizona, and usually it's just sunny
and hot.
And then all of a sudden, monsoon comes out of nowhere and just goes away after 5 minutes.
Yeah. Cool. So you, so Idaho, Arizona, where else have you lived? So where'd you serve your mission?
I served in Paraguay, South America. Yeah.
So you are fluent in Spanish.
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Did the reps know that? I'm not sure I knew that.
I think only a few of the reps know that I'm mostly the Phoenix team, which is the team that I used to be a part of. I was kind of one of the guys besides Sigel that would go and run some of the Spanish leads.
Okay.
Or if it ended up being a Spanish lead without my knowing, I just was able to roll with it. So that was very nice.
Awesome. So reps, we have a Spanish speaker in rep support, just so everyone knows.
That's right. If you need me, give me a call.
Well, cool. Benton, thanks for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and it's been fun getting to know you a little bit.
Thank you.
All right.